So, Attack on Titan has finally ended after running for a whole decade. There have been very few anime shows which have impacted and brought together the community on such a large scale in recent times as much as this masterpiece series has done in the past decade. There is no debate and no doubt that Attack on Titan is a peak anime, and discussing and understanding its climax and ending is something which is very important for the anime community. Because let's be honest that the final episode of this great show would definitely have left many fans scratching their heads on certain occasions. In this video, I will try to answer all the questions that possibly could arise after the final episode, and I will also try to explain the ending of the show. The first question that needs to be addressed is, what was the meaning of the conversation between Armin and Zeke? After being consumed by the Okapi Titan, Armin goes to the coordinate where the path of all the Eldians meet. There he meets Zeke, sitting and building a castle out of the sand hopelessly. He explains to Armin about the origin of life and its natural characteristic to multiply in order to survive in any possible situation. But death and extinction are another natural phenomenon which works contrary to the nature of life. As a result, fear was developed inside living creatures as a kind of survival mechanism. But here Zeke considers fear as a form of punishment. He then explains that the founder Ymir never wanted to experience this punishment of fear and death, maybe because of already being subjugated to extreme fear and suffering in her life because of the actions of King Fritz. So she harnessed the power of the miraculous Centipede, became the founding titan, and created a world in a dimension where time stopped, resulting in immortality. Zeke by this point had also become a complete nihilist. He believes that the purpose of life is just to survive and multiply to keep their species alive for as long as possible. This depressed approach to life like a programmed biological being is what made him fail to understand the real purpose of Ymir in the material world. Further into the conversation, it was Armin who made Zeke realize the true objective and purpose of life, which is living life itself in every moment, which is to be alive with your whole heart all the time, experiencing the little joys of life with your loved ones, with your friends and family. Even if it is racing with your friends to the hill all your life, or walking around in the market alley is worth living it. Or even a small part like playing the game of catch with your father over and over again is worth being born in this complex and twisted world. It is these small blissful emotions and moments where we appreciate our presence is the actual purpose of living a life. These words from Armin changes the perspective of Zeke, and he then exposes himself to Levi and the outside world, appreciating his life one last time despite knowing he will be killed by Levi the very next moment. The next question is, why did the Titans help Armin and his comrades in the fight? This is answered by Armin after he is saved from the Okapi Titan. He says that Zeke awakened their comrades in the paths where there is no life and no death. Though the complete mechanics of the coordinate is still not explained anywhere in the show, which makes this event even more confusing. Still, this meant that after death in the material world, the spirit of the Eldians still remain inside the coordinates, and by the power of the founder and the royal blood, their memories and consciousness can still influence the outside world with the help of their respawned titan bodies. So Zeke, after his changed perspectives and the power of his royal blood, asks these comrades to help the scouts in fighting the other titans, which they eventually do. And since Ymir was no more bound by the royal blood after siding with Eren rather than Zeke, she could have easily stopped these titans from helping the scouts. But since Ymir wanted to witness the choice of Mikasa in the end, which we will discuss in a later question, she too allows this to happen, as something like this was already fated according to the memories of the future which Eren saw previously. We should keep in mind that this help by the titans was allowed by Ymir, as Armin further says that Ymir was seeking for some kind of connection from them, as if she was searching for something from them which was none other than Mikasa's final choice regarding Eren. What actually was the centipede creature? This creature is also not explained fully in the show. Only hints are given that this worm-looking creature perhaps may be one of the most ancient organic life form that has existed on this planet. This creature is also responsible for the inception of the Titan power and the realm known as the Coordinate. 2000 years ago, it fuses with Ymir inside the Tree of Life and gives her the founder's power. It seems that this creature has an inherent nature of survival and preservation just like the other life forms, and therefore needs a host's spine to survive, and in the process tries to keep the host alive as long as it can with its extraordinary power. I really like the concept that Isayama kept this creature a mystery, did not dive much into the mechanics, and effortlessly made it the source of all the supernatural Titan powers. What is the meaning of the scene between Mikasa and Eren? Well, this scene and conversation is created by Eren in the past and is similar to the vision he creates for Armin and his other friends, as is later confirmed by Mikasa. Eren creates this vision inside Mikasa's head to show her the consequences of what would have happened if she had confessed her love for Eren, and how the people of Paradis Island would be subjected to a one-sided war which would result in their extinction. He also asks her to forget about him once he is dead because he wanted her to be happy in the long life she is going to live after all of this destruction is over. Though in their memories, but this was their last meeting together where they had a glimpse of their peaceful life together. What is the meaning and importance of the conversation between Armin and Eren? The conversation between Armin and Eren is a very crucial and long part of the finale episode where many events and questions by Isayama are connected and cleared in a way. This conversation also happens as a form of vision created by Eren using the founder's powers. Here Eren starts by confessing that he wanted to push his friends away from him because of the genocide he was about to commit in the outside world, so that in the end his friends can save the world from him and form an everlasting peace between Eldians and the whole world. After this, Eren tells Armin about the founder Ymir. He tells Armin that Ymir, the founder, for all these 2000 years unconditionally loved King Fritz and obeyed his order of Titan domination, because of which the Titan powers also remained in this world for the past 2000 years. In other words, she was a slave to King Fritz's orders and her love towards him. This situation caused a lot of suffering to Ymir and she wanted to be freed from this bondage. She kept searching for someone all these years to look up to their actions in true love and be able to break the cycle of this romantic slavery. That person for her was Mikasa. Mikasa was also a slave of her unconditional love towards Eren. Despite Eren being a genocidal monster, Mikasa still loved him with all her heart. There were basically two choices for Ymir when King Fritz was about to get assassinated. Either she could have moved on from her one-sided love towards the barbaric King Fritz and leave him to die, which would have brought peace for the generations of civilizations in the future, or else she could have sacrificed herself for him and allowed him to plunder the people all across with his royal blood orders over the Titan powers. She chose the latter, which resulted in immense suffering for so many generations of people that came down the line. Mikasa could have done the same by running away with Eren for the rest of his life and could have plunged the Eldians and the outside world into another endless cycle of war. But Mikasa sacrificed Eren, the most precious person for her in the world, for the sake of humanity and long-lasting peace. This choice by Mikasa inspired Ymir to finally break herself free from the slavery of King Fritz and abandon all her Titan powers in the end, therefore freeing everyone from this cursed power. There was one more disturbing fact which came across during this conversation, is that Eren was responsible for his own mother's death from the Smiling Titan. It was Eren all along who actually killed his own mother. So the question arises that why did Eren kill his own mother? Why would he do such a grim and twisted crime against himself and his mother? This event will definitely become one of the most controversial events of this anime in the near future. This part has a couple of twisted answers, but I can't promise them to be completely satisfactory ones because of their controversial nature and lack of complete explanation by the author. But we will still discuss it. The first possible answer is simply answered by Eren, that the founding Titan's power has messed up his mind. This can be connected to the statement said by Eren Kruger to Grisha in the 3rd season, where he says that the attack Titan always seeks and fights for the freedom. Though Eren thinks that it is the founding Titan's power which has messed up his mind, but it could have been the powerful influence of the attack Titan's power for seeking freedom which could have messed up Eren's mind to commit such a horrific crime, because Bertholdt needed to be be saved that day, and the child Eren needed to be enraged by his mother's death to kickstart his journey and to keep the timeline exactly as it was fated and seen by Eren. Because the ultimate goal of Eren and the Attack Titan was to reach the goal of Mikasa's choice in the future, no matter what the sacrifice and cost it had. This is said by Eren himself in this conversation. What I knew for certain is that the outcome Mikasa brought about is what I kept moving forward to reach. We must also keep the fact in our minds that this twisted decision was taken by the grown-up Eren, whose mind to some extent was messed up and influenced by the overwhelming power of the Titans and the rage from all the wars and the tragedies that happened to him. Such heavy events can easily mess up anyone's psyche into taking up and ending with terrible decisions. The second answer to this question is also given by Eren, saying that the effect of the founding Titan's power is that there is no past or the future. Rather, all the timelines exist simultaneously. This shows the possibility that the events in the timeline cannot be changed no matter what, and they are bound to happen as they are fated. So maybe there is a possibility that Eren had to obey the laws of nature and fate even if the events are against his will. The biggest evidence to support this statement is that Eren does not give any reason why he killed his mother. He just gave one reason, saying that the founding Titan's power has messed up his mind, which might indicate that Eren did not have control over his mind when he saved Berthold from the Smiling Titan and instead made it kill his own mom. I am still open to any other answers to this twisted question. If you have one of your own theory about why Eren killed his own mother, you can feel free to comment it in the comment section where we can discuss its relevance and possibilities. Well, let's go back to the previous question about what was the meaning and significance of the conversation between Armin and Eren and discuss it further. Further into the conversation, Armin asks Eren about what he thinks about Mikasa and her future without him. This part has also sparked a lot of controversy in the anime community about how this behavior from Eren doesn't feel like Eren himself and broke the continuity of the story and the character, making it a bad ending. But personally, I believe that Isayama nailed Eren's situation and emotions perfectly into this scene, and that's why I want to discuss it here rather than tagging it as a cringe scene like everyone else is wrongfully doing it. The reason most of the people are complaining about is Eren crying over Mikasa and saying that he doesn't want Mikasa to forget him despite pushing her away the whole final season. This is a kind of breakdown that Eren goes through here, and to remind you all, Eren already has had a lot of breakdowns previously because after all he is a human being with emotional capabilities. He broke down in season 1 after Annie massacres his comrades. He breaks down in season 2 after Hannese's death. He breaks down in season 3 in front of Historia inside the tavern. He breaks down when Armin was on the brink of death after the battle of Shiganshina, and he even breaks down after the death of his close friend Shasha in season 4. This lame looking conversation between him and Armin over Mikasa is just a natural emotional breakdown of a young 19-year-old guy in front of his best friend. Of course, he doesn't want to get separated from Mikasa and his friends and die in the process. No one would naturally want to, but he doesn't have a choice now because his fate is already written. So he regrets and moans over his situation with a raw and natural emotion. I mean that this is how best friends talk in real life, right? I also like this scene because we finally get a glimpse of Eren's humanity which he hid from all the characters for his twisted mission. I personally believe that this was not just a good but also a necessary scene for the show. Now further into the conversation, we get the real reason why Eren massacred humanity outside the walls. There are two major reasons for this. The first reason we already know about since season 4 is that Eren wanted to save his people of Paradis Island from the hate of the outside world. He also wanted his friend to live a long and peaceful life away from the conflict. The second and the shocking reason which is revealed in this conversation is that Eren personally wanted to cause this genocide because he was extremely upset with the reality of the outside world. Initially he thought that the world would be empty for him and his friends to explore, inhabited by no one, where he would be finally free, but it was nothing like what he ever imagined. It turned out to be a world which was not empty and uninhabited, but shockingly filled with people who hated his kind for absurd reasons. This specific reason is not just confirmed by the conversation between Eren and Armin but also by Isayama in his latest interview, where he was asked about Eren's carnage, destruction and disappointment towards the outside world. Armin also understands this ambiguous and twisted reason of Eren to destroy and erase all the people from the outside world, and then he takes half of the genocide blame on himself by saying that it was him who had put the idea of an empty and unoccupied outside world inside the mind of Eren through the books he used to show him when they were kids, and he shouldn't have done that. He promises Eren to share half the blame for world destruction on his shoulders rather than Eren alone. And with this, the long 12-minute conversation sequence gets ended by answering and clearing many questions of the show. What was the ultimate purpose of Ymir? As we have already discussed in the video, Ymir was a slave of the love she had for King Fritz, and she wanted to be free from this thousands of years old torment she was subjected to. She wanted to be inspired by someone like her, someone who had the courage to take the right decision and set her free from her bondage. So her ultimate purpose in all this chaos was to witness the choice of Mikasa towards the end. This is the reason why she always tried to look into her thoughts, and finally Mikasa showed her the courage and the right choice by going against her love, which inspired Ymir to finally be free of the Titan powers and be liberated for eternity. This event also ended the power of the Titans from the planet, and everyone finally turns into a normal human after thousands of years. The Centipede is also shown dead later in the anime. What was the meaning of the post-credit scene? The post-credit scene contains a lot of information about the future of the Attack on Titan universe. Firstly, it shows that Eren's friends lived a long and peaceful life after the end of the war, which was Eren's biggest objective, as they can be seen growing old in those scenes, regularly visiting Eren's grave with their families. This also gives rise to another controversial question. Was Mikasa married? And if she was married, was she married to John or someone else? Isayama has left this question for open interpretation and fan theories and has not provided solid evidence for this. But if you follow the plot, one thing is sure, that Mikasa indeed got married to someone and had a family, because that was the main reason which erased the power of the Titans from the world, that Mikasa moved on from being a slave of Eren's love and settled with someone else to live a peaceful life. Mikasa's marriage and a family is indeed a very important canon part of the plot, else there would be no point of Ymir being freed from her torment and Isayama's plot would be contradicted. Remember, we discussed how Mikasa's move on from Eren was the main inspiration of Ymir to get freed from King Fritz's love torment. So I am 100% sure that Mikasa did get married sometime after the war. But one thing I can't say for sure is that the guy she married is John. In this picture, this lady is none other than Mikasa with her child, because why would some other lady visit a grave with her child unless the person lying there is someone special for her? But the guy accompanying her is John or not, that has not been announced officially anywhere. So Isayama basically made it open for interpretation, because in a way that does not matter to the story. What actually matters in relation to the plot is that Mikasa was happy and had a family and died peacefully in her old age. She also gets buried beside Eren. Isayama is truly a genius in handling such story plots. Further, the post-credit scene simply shows the inevitable cycle of war. Paradis Island gets destroyed hundreds of years after the events of Attack on Titan, which at least confirms that our characters led a very peaceful life. The next scene shows a boy accompanied by a dog in a forest. This boy seems to be wearing the same scarf as that of Mikasa, because this scarf is shown of same color and has also become dirty and old, which means that it is a possibility that this boy is a descendant of Mikasa, maybe her great-grandson or someone like that. This boy is shown entering a tree which resembles the tree of life, where Ymir fused with the Centipede and got her Titan powers. This is again a foreshadow in the show, showing the significance of the cyclical nature of events on this planet. Who knows, maybe the power of Titans and the destruction returns once again in the future in the universe of Attack on Titan. With this, I wrap up my video. I think I've answered most of the confusing questions of the finale episode, which is very important to understand this masterpiece show in its entirety. If you have watched till the end, I thank you so much from all my heart. Do comment down your favorite fan theories, or if something I have missed or said wrong in this video. I always look forward to all your suggestions. Also, a subscribe and a like will help this channel a lot. Thank you for watching.